On my fan mood assessment, the highest of vibes for Pitt, the worst of vibes for Georgia Tech. The Yellowjackets had to win this game, and they'd make the ACC championship with a chance for a win regardless of what happens against Georgia next week. Did the Yellowjackets get caught looking ahead, or did Pitt go to Atlanta and expose the part of Georgia Tech that's almost bitten them this year in a couple of other games in addition to the one they lost? Mason Heinschel went 20-27 for 226 and 2 scores. And you know what? Pat Narduzzi messed up last week against Notre Dame. Didn't have his team ready to go because he gave them an excuse at the beginning of the week. He also had them ready for this game because he told them before that Notre Dame game, hey, it's the ACC games that matter. Well, guess what? The Pitt Panthers, you wonder why I'm against auto bids. The Pitt Panthers are playing for the right to go to the ACC championship game next week when they take on Miami. That is a colossally huge college football game. I can't wait for it. It's going to be really fun. Miami will be playing their 7th straight ACC game. And if they win, their at-large playoff hopes will be alive. I will lobby for them to get in over Notre Dame at 10-2. They're either both in or they're both out, or Miami's in and Notre Dame's out. In no world will I be okay with Notre Dame getting in with Miami missing the playoff. But let's cross that bridge if we get to it, because Pitt went into Atlanta and just derailed Georgia Tech, whose defense has not been great. They gave up 42 on their home field. Pitt scored a touchdown in every quarter, including 3 in the first, and they ran for 186 yards as a team. Take away sacks, it was over 200 as a squad. Haynes King did what he could, but he had to throw the ball 41 times. He ran it 20, but that's not how Georgia Tech is wired. They went for 121 on the ground. Why? Not because they couldn't run the ball. They weren't running it as efficiently as they normally do, but because they had to throw. They did not get on schedule offensively. Defensively, they couldn't get any stops, and Pitt just went up and down the field. 21-0 was the score at the end of the first quarter. That was not the most ridiculous first quarter score involving an ACC team on this day, but that's one I'll talk about on tomorrow's show. But Georgia Tech is now in a spot where they play Georgia next week. And by the way, Pitt's 8-3. Even though they have a bad loss to West Virginia, they went on the road, beat number 16 Georgia Tech. They'll be in my top 25 next week. Will they be in the committees? In all likelihood, yes, and they should be, because they earned it with this game. What do you do with Georgia Tech? Committee had them at 16. Are you telling me that 10-2 with a win over Georgia won't get you into the college football playoff? That'd be some mad disrespect to the ACC, and maybe they earned that, having the worst of the non-conference slates amongst the Power 4 leagues. But Georgia Tech had everything in front of them. This is Haynes King's last year. We'll see what they do at quarterback next season, because you have to have a certain kind of guy to play in that offense for Brent Key and Buster Faulkner, the offensive coordinator. But it was all there. This felt like it was the magical season, and it just came crashing down because you lost on senior day. Nothing feels worse than that. I mean, maybe Cal feels worse right now. Because dude. Speaking of jobs that need to come open that somehow involve the old Pac-12, RIP. Will this be the moment? Cal's bowl eligible, so probably not. Will this be the moment Justin Wilcox is let go? Probably not. I mean, Ron Rivera's got to take a serious look, right? If you don't know, in the big game, Stanford, with an interim head coach, with, I don't even know on the roster, they did bring in transfers finally. They beat Cal 31-10, 14-10 at the half. Stanford goes 17-0 in the second half of the football game. And Cal, who was favored in the matchup on the road, loses outright by 21. You got smacked by Stanford, who's throwing the season away. Andrew Luck basically declared this season or a throwaway, a reset, a start of a rebuild. When he said, yeah, we're going to get rid of Troy Taylor, whether he thinks that's legitimate or not, and we're going to bring in my old buddy Frank Reich to just be a placeholder interim head coach. Maybe he's going to get the full-time job after this. I don't know. I don't think that's the best that Stanford could possibly do. But boy, it doesn't feel like the worst option at the moment when you won this game. Rivalries in college football, man. Rivalries in college football. And Justin Wilcox's ability to play down to the level of his opponent and play up to it is unlike anything I've seen. I mean, he should be an honorary Avenger because he has got a superpower. And that's exactly what it is. He's done it for so long, and the question will be what a lot of the national discourse, for however much there is, a lot of that national discourse you hear with the program amongst fans, I think a lot is, well, do they even care? If they care, this is the sort of game you fire Justin Wilcox after. It's not going forward. You have got a superstar in the making at quarterback who had to throw the ball over 45 times in this one. Why? Because the rest of the team around him isn't good enough. But if you come back next year as Cal, and your pitch to Jaren Kiave Sangapolotele is, well, we're going to be better this year. Justin Wilcox been saying that to the fans in Berkeley, which there are, by the way, for 8-9 years at this point. It's not better. We know what he is. This is one of the worst of vibes in Berkeley, the best of vibes in Palo Alto. That's the easiest fan mood assessment for me of the week. I mean, holy smokes. 31-10 against a rebuilding, resetting Stanford program. That's embarrassing, man. That is an embarrassing loss for that program. So maybe they're feeling worse than Georgia Tech. But just think about this. I want to circle back to the Yellowjackets for a moment. If they were to beat Georgia next week, that's an if. There is no given. If they lose, they're out. No questions asked. But of all the teams, of that multi-car pileup of squads that could be at 10-2, if Georgia Tech wins the head-to-head with Georgia, can you really keep them out of the playoff? Is the committee going to do that? I think they would. I think they're going to drop Georgia Tech down outside of the top 20, which is ridiculous, but whatever. They're going to drop them out of the top 20, and then if they win next week, they'll get back inside the top 15, and they just missed out. They'll do to Georgia Tech what happened to BYU last year. BYU was 10-2 with a road win against a playoff team, and they barely were discussed as a potential at-large candidate. I think there's a much greater than 50% chance, not 100, but a greater than 50% chance Georgia Tech at home played themselves out of a bid to the college football playoff today. Tough times for the Yellowjackets. Bright future, but this has to feel pretty bad. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.